What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So one of my audience members mentioned something about the story in Suicide Squad as well as the story in Gotham Knights. They said that they did not respect Batman in these stories. Now, I went ahead and asked this audience member of mine, and this is just an exercise in playing the other side. I said, okay, how would you rewrite Batman in a game like Gotham Knights? Let's not even at this moment talk about Suicide Squad, of which I would do my best to actually represent Batman in a way that I think is appropriate for the character. So when I asked that question, I'm sure he probably thought I was maybe trolling or maybe in a sense trying to, push back unnecessarily. But really, I'm of the mind that in today's day and age where we critique a lot of art, I think the very best way that we can actually criticize the art is actually by putting up alternatives that are actually better or do exactly what it is that we expect those stories to do that have basically failed. So I've also seen some people with a Suicide Squad question saying, VG, this game is written from the perspective of the villains. This game is written from the perspective of these, folk that have no honor. So they shouldn't necessarily be in the position to actually make the fans feel some kind of way. I actually push back and I reject that because there's a very simple, in my opinion, idea that pretty much neutralizes this entire argument when you actually pay very close attention to what's going on. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how that line of thinking is antithetical to a video game because of the nature of what a video game is, which is as an entertainment piece. So Jordan Angel, shout out to you. I really appreciate your question in this matter because you said, my question is, so in stories these days, a story has to exist within the context of, in quote, fans being okay with the story. Now, that is an argument that I'm not making. Maybe I may have said something to that regard, but the argument that I'm making is fanfare. Respecting the audience and actually making the audience have some element of saying, yay, our character, that is the hero, has some element to him that is being accentuated here, that is the best part of him, like, hoorah, yoo-hoo. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that the fans are okay with the story, but the fanfare is missing, especially in video games these days. But I'm going to go ahead and give it to you in this regard, but maybe that I may have said something wrong, but let's just go with that. A story has to exist within the context of fans being okay with the story, not the story has to exist from within the perspective of the characters who are telling the story. The Suicide Squad is telling the story. They are the cast, they're the criminals, disrespectful in nature. When they do something from within the story, they need to think of to themselves, are the fans okay with this? And fans don't exist. This is a story, and the limits of the story should be limited to what the characters know of. They don't see fans. They see their enemy, the Justice League, the arch enemies, and they kill them and treat them as their character would, with disrespect. I disagree with that fundamentally because it's a video game, and developers do the exact opposite for the most successful games that are out there. Now, I responded, and I'm going to read my response, and I'm going to break it down. I said I'll counter this point from a game development perspective because I'm an indie developer. Whether I like it or not, I put my hands in there, and like I told you guys, I'm working on my own game and writing my own project, which I will show you guys hopefully pretty soon, God willing. And I said, development perspective, so that you can see that this is a form of, games are a form of entertainment. I understand what you're saying, but you cannot write a story in the void. If you were writing to AI, then cool. But as long as you're writing to human beings to read and basically interact with, you wish to elicit a response. Art is done so that you can elicit a response in a sense, but video games for the most part, especially in the hero category, are designed for you to be able to elicit these feelings that people want from video games. Now, I get it that this is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but there is really no Suicide Squad fan base that is commercially viable. So they had to go ahead and market the game to the superhero fan base, which is viable, seeing that human beings kind of like heroes a lot, right? Now, let me counter from the developer perspective. In video games, AI are specifically made to have some vulnerabilities. Every video game that you play that's serious about what they're doing, they'll have vulnerabilities with the AI just to make the player feel like, man, I did this, I'm smart. And these vulnerabilities, many smart developers will not tell you. So that when the discovery happens, Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that this is a thing. This is from the third party or from the first party who discovers this. They say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm big brained. And then at the same time, they'll basically compliment the developer and say, man, these developers are quite, they're tricky people, they're savvy. And I'm glad that I was able to pretty much figure them out. But the developers already did it with you in mind, knowing that you're probably going to figure it out, or somebody else is going to figure it out. And that makes you have this feeling, this positive feeling, or eliciting a positive response. It doesn't have to be a feeling, but a response towards a project they're working on. So yes, you're writing a game about a Suicide Squad that wants to kill the Justice League, but you are marketing the game to a Suicide Squad fan base? There is none. The Suicide Squad fan base, if you could write one with the Suicide Squad fan base, you'd have just written the game like Payday, where the Suicide Squad goes around doing everything crazy, make a GTA style game where you can do whatever you want in the sandbox. That's the best way to write a Suicide Squad game. If you gave me the opportunity to rewrite Suicide Squad, that's how I'm going to write them playing without the Justice League. If you say add the Justice League, then it's too easy from there. I can still easily, with just a pen and a paper, kill Batman, and the fans will cry and still be happy with the product. Very easy to do. It's not like it's rocket science. How would you do it, you may ask, VG? Well, good. I'm glad you asked. Well, the Suicide Squad find themselves in a conundrum with the Justice League, right? And then Amanda Waller is saying, everybody go and do this, go and do that. Based on the universe that you guys created with Arkham, nobody knows where Bruce Wayne is. All of a sudden, the Suicide Squad is secretly approached, taken out by somebody they don't even know who it is. Apparently, it's Bruce Wayne. He comes out, has you all in a bind, and says, I don't trust you, but I need you guys to basically do these things, and we can probably maybe take down the Justice League. And knowing now that the Justice League has now got this brain fusion with Brainiac and it's irreversible and we have to kill them, then we now go tap into Batman's secret recipe, his menu of all of the things that can take out the Justice League that he's had in the cartoons. I'm not even writing from external, ideas. This is from within the internal plethora of DC universe and hero fandom. All the Suicide Squad members are like, okay, where are you going to get kryptonite? He's like, I have kryptonite in the Batcave. I brought some kryptonite from the Batcave in Gotham. I'm doing it in my fake Batman voice, right? And so how are you going to take out, the Flash? Oh, I already have this blah, 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 blah thing. If we make sure that the Flash cannot eat, we basically go poison all the food or something. And then Batman basically is using these tactics to weaken the Justice League members that have been corrupted so that the Suicide Squad can take them out. Now, you can create more tension with Batman saying, let's capture them. Maybe we can imprison them. And then the Suicide Squad going and subverting his expectations and maybe taking them out. Maybe pretending it's an accident and Batman getting increasingly frustrated with them, but they still are able to make it work. And then at the end of the day, somehow by some error mistake they make, Brainiac captures Batman. You could go two ways. Brainiac kills Batman. That's way number one. Or Batman sacrifices himself so that the Suicide Squad can get the last Justice League member. That's been the hardest to take down, Superman. Or Brainiac captures, I said two ways. Here's the third one, free. Brainiac captures Batman, basically turns him, and Batman already left the memo for the Suicide Squad members on exactly what they needed to do to take him down. Batman is still celebrated as being very smart, very logical, and pretty much almost indestructible, and knowing how to take down all the Justice League members, including himself. And he gives that key to the Suicide Squad members who are already villains, but now they know, like, crap, we got to take out Batman. And now they're torn, but they do what they got to do. You take out Batman, you take out all the Suicide Squad members, fanfare. The fans are still happy. Not that you can't just go shoot Batman in the head and then call it good, which they've done, and now they've seen that it's elicited a lot of negative response. So you see how I basically, me, a Batman fan, killed Batman, but I left the fanfare in there. So when people say these things, I'm like, I understand what you mean, but you're not writing to the void. You are doing art. And this is the problem with writing somebody else's stuff. When you haven't sweat in the creation, there's no way Bob Kane would write this. I'm just letting you guys know. Like, I don't see the world where the creator of Batman would write something like that. And if he wanted to even take Batman out of the picture, I think he would do it respectfully. So I understand the comment that was actually put here that inspired this conversation. I get it. I really do get it. But you cannot write in the void. The best authors know that. That is why their work is pretty much phenomenal. That's why their work is selling like hotcake. That's why Lord of the Rings is a massive bestseller. That is why Harry Potter is a massive bestseller. That is why, the stuff that, people like C.S. Lewis wrote are heavy sellers. Because they just don't, destroy everything in a way that if they want to write a tragedy, they can write a tragedy that is still respectful of the human core nature. That's exactly what it is that I think many fans want to say. But because, the internet, we're not finding nuance too much. So people are just expressing their frustration. And that's pretty much it. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. And talk to me. Join the Discord server. Let's have these conversations. Peace out.